Hello, welcome to The Conversation in News Central Television. This is a program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings on the African continent. I am Benga Aboroa.
And I am Rita Omodia. Today on The Conversation, we will be looking at Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's appointments of 8 special advisors and his 15 days in office.
Later on the show, we will also analyse developments in Zimbabwe towards the forthcoming elections, where lawmakers have approved higher fees for candidates running for office. Interested developments on the African continent.
Definitely interesting. I mean, this increase, you're trying to reduce the number of people, but at the same time, are you also cutting off competent people who would have been able to do the job?
Exactly. And are you looking at the state of the Zimbabwean economy?
Yeah.
And also in Nigeria, the president has hit the ground running. I had a guest tell me that I think a few days ago, that the work that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done in 16 days is more than what former President Buhari did in his entire 8-year tenure. So it tells you a lot that is going on. But I can't wait for us to get into the
Definitely.
details.
Let's not be too fast to decide. I mean, it's one thing, yes, we've seen lots of appointments, a lot of things running, meeting with opposition parties, with political governors, talking about passage of bill. We've seen the education loan for students and so many things he has done. But can he keep up with the momentum? Let's see more of this. Let us see more of implementation, because there's a whole lot of work to be done.
And consistency. You're right. There's a whole lot of work to be done. And as we speak, there's a delegation of Nigeria, of African leaders, Akande Chilema, led by Cyril Ramaphosa, the Road to Peace. They're trying to, help solve the problem between Russia and Ukraine, and some other development. South Africa's the president's security team and a group of journalists are stranded in Warsaw, Poland. The Polish authorities refused to grant them access to proceed with their flight. They only just disembarked from the plane after spending 24 hours on the tarmac. So a lot of diplomatic moves have been happening. There are talks of racism and what have you. But I'm sure in the next few hours we'll get a clearer picture of the situation.
We will. I mean, for Poland's sake, this is supposed to be a peace treaty, and it's not something that has been hidden. They know about this. So why exactly would you have held? Why are you frustrating the effort? I know it's going to be a plus if African governments, when they go there, they can make a mark on it and let the other European nations know that, when you need things to be done, you can always rely on Africa.
Yes, indeed. But let's begin in Nigeria, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently gave his approval for the appointment of 8 special advisors. The decision comes after the Night Senate granted him permission to appoint a total of 20 advisors last week. The State House Media Office issued a statement on Thursday revealing the names of the appointees and their respective roles. Dele Alake has been appointed as a special advisor for special duties, communications, and strategy to the president.
Among the other appointees are Yau Darazo, who will serve as the Special Advisor for Political and Intergovernmental Affairs, and Wale Edun, who will assume the position of Special Advisor for Monetary Policies. Mrs. Olu Verheijen has been appointed as the Special Advisor for Energy, while Zachaeus Adedeji will take on the role of Special Advisor for Revenue. Additionally, Nuhu Ribadu has been named as a Special Advisor for Security. And join us for this conversation, we have Aliyu Audu, Member Presidential Transition Council Media Strategy. We also have Jide Ojo, who is a Public Affairs Analyst. Gentlemen, welcome to the conversation.
My pleasure for having me.
Wonderful. So I'm going to begin with you, Jide. I mean, it's barely 3 weeks after his inauguration. President Bola Tinubu is kicking the ground running. We've seen lots of things happen. And this time around, it's with the appointment of special advisors. So to start with, how instrumental are these positions, when we say special advisors to the president, in facilitating Tinubu's administration, and how would this reflect in his governance?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, Africa. Good evening, Nigerians. For me, it's expected that we will have these special advisors. It usually precedes the inauguration of the cabinet. So this is quite in tandem with previous administration. And when you look at the quality and the caliber of people that have been appointed, although about 2/3 of them are not a public figure in the sense of being known in the public domain, like the special advisor on health, on revenue, on political affairs, on energy. These are people. These are people that many of us started reading about after their appointment yesterday. But this is more of a kitchen cabinet. What we have now is kitchen cabinet, so that and people who are special advisors are supposedly should be close to the president, should be able to meet with him regularly, not going through the official door, as we saw during the Buhari years, where a particular minister of state, Ibe Kachuku, could not see the president in 6 months. If you are supposed to be a special advisor to the president, you should have his ears and attention at will. Because you may want to tell him something very urgent and important. And of course, ministerial positions are political, so to speak, just like special advisor anyway. But it is assumed or presumed that these special advisors will also have chairs at the table during cabinet meetings. So 8 out of 20 slots that he requested of the night Senate has been filled. We are waiting for the remaining 12 that will be filled possibly in the coming days or weeks. But for those we know, people like Dele Alake, who's a veteran journalist, Wale Edun, who was Dele Alake and Wale Edun were actually commissioners with Tinubu between 1999 and 2007. We know Nuhu Ribadu in his days as the pioneer chairman of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Who else? Others, we have to read up on them, but it is assumed that they definitely come to the table with intimidating curriculum vitae. At least I've seen the Arise TV interview of the lady, was Olu Verheijen, who spoke to issue of energy and how we can, of course, energy is very key to even resolving the issue of development, issue of poverty, issue of unemployment. If we get the energy mix right and we are able to overcome the lingering challenge we have with electricity and power generally, definitely we'll be on the path to innovation, science and technology, and all of that. So I believe all of them come with a resume that shows them as technocrats in their respective field. And we wait to see, as they resume office, we wait to see what their impact will be in the administration of Tinubu.
Thank you, Mr. Jiriojo. I'd like to bring in Aliyu Audu in Abuja into the conversation. Now, Aliyu, let's extract some of these individuals that have been appointed as special advisors to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A name that stands out is the pioneer chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, as a special advisor on security. And we know how much problems insecurity has cost us in the last few years. What do you make of his appointment? And do you think, I mean, as a former policeman and detective of the EFCC, is he well suited for this position? What does it bring to the office of the special advisor on security?
All right. Good evening, Nigerians. Good evening, Africans. I mean, I think in the past, the mistakes we have made has been, wrongly singularizing military as the approach to security. I mean, the way those steps have defied the security challenges we've experienced has showed that, clearly security is not just to be militarized. There are a lot of issues responsible for security, national security. I mean, inequality, lack of justice, peace, intolerance, lack of understanding, economic issues, and environmental issues, and I mean, misunderstanding of the unity of the union. Yes, the union called Nigeria. I mean, it's quite heterogeneous, both in ethnicity and in religion and region. The fact that there's been lively misunderstanding in all of this have been responsible for, series of security issues we've had. And to solve them, past governments have appointed major retired general, people with military background, and some have even boasted of fixing the issue within a matter of months and weeks, but with no result in the end because the approach to security issues were wrong. The good thing about having President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president of Nigeria at this time in particular is the fact that he's a very scientific leader. He's very empirical and he's very factual and he's very pragmatic, and he's got eyes for talent and he knows, how to nurse or nurture talent into fruition, into full-blown, to get potential out of, realize potential, inbuilt in anything, be it human or material. Malam Nuhu Ribadu isn't just a retired AIG of the Nigeria Police Force. It will shock you to know that Malam Nuhu Ribadu started EFCC from the boot of his own car.
Yeah.
That's how driven.
I'm talking about Ali. You're talking about this EFCC. I mean, he's the pioneer chairman, and unfortunately, his tenure, we saw a lot of situations where there were bribery allegations against him. So, does this still give him this moral standing? I mean, is this a situation where, in the past, you've had bribery allegations? Are we going to see such a thing happen again as a special advisor on security?
The one thing I know about fact or truth is that it stands the test of time. Let's remember that Nuhu Ribadu was, hired by Obasanjo to go after Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He actually even said afterwards that, they went after, the then governor of Lagos, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with everything they had, with the whole noise that he was stealing Lagos and looting Lagos dry, but they couldn't get anything. If Nuhu Ribadu is on the side of, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today, and this I know because I happen to understand the relationship that exists between both. There is mutual respect to the point that you will discard all of the misinformation and disinformation about either of the characters. In this case, it's about his vision for the country. Okay. I mean. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is at the point trying to define his government. I mean, he's moving everything about him, his goals, his objectives, into a team. It's pyramidal in shape, like our problem. The president at the top, the people at the bottom. We have always wondered if it's going to start from the bottom or the top. It is starting from the top. So he's the next layer of this structure at this eight counselors, 8 disciples whom he trusts, who understand his vision, who sees the problem from his eyes and are ready to go the length that President Bola Ahmed.
Ali, I mean, from all what you're saying, you're expressing a lot of optimism in the person of not only Nuhu Ribadu, but the person who is appointing him, that is President Bola Tinubu. Let's also go over to all the appointees. We have earlier on, Jide mentioned some of them, Zachaeus Adedeji, Wale Edun, and Olu Verheijen. I'm mentioning these two because they deal with energy, they deal with the economy, which is really tiresome at the moment. So what do you think, or what are some of the policies that you're expecting from the government when they talk about economy, look at the energy? I mean, we've seen the electricity bill being signed. What other policies should you be expecting from this administration? Sorry, I would like Jide to answer this, please.
Okay, so first and foremost, again, I think I agree with my colleague Ali that Tinubu is known to have a knack for discovering talent. And I just do hope that these 8 people were people that he has studied and whom he knows personally. Of course, the appointment reflected the federal character. You have people You have from Igbo land, you have from Yoruba land, you have from the northern Nigeria.
Yeah.
So the issue for me, someone like Wale Edun, we know was Commissioner for Finance in Lagos and was alluded to be the brain behind the revenue exponential increase in the IGR of Lagos from maybe 500 million to about 12, 13 billion naira way back in 2007, as at the time that Tinubu left. And of course, Wale Edun is a seasoned banker, financial expert. He has a lot of wealth of experience. Even after serving out his term as in 2007, he's remained relevant. He's been doing quite a lot of other things, and a lot of kudos have come the way of Wale Edun. Of course, when you look at somebody who the person he appointed as the special advisor on energy, the lady is said to have worked with the international oil company over the past 20 years and understand the issues. And, you know, I just feel that irrespective of, I recall what Obasanjo said when he appointed his advisors, was it in 2003 or 1999 or in between? I recall that he made a joke that, look, you are my advisors and I'm not bound to endorse or approve of your advice. So these people have been appointed in advisory capacity. There is no law that says the president must act on their advice. But if they were very well known to him and they give him sound advice and he takes to them, we will start seeing in the coming days. However, I must flag something. These advisors precedes the cabinet. But what we have also seen after the full inauguration of the cabinet is the unhealthy rivalry between the advisors and the cabinet ministers. We have seen that between the Minister of State and the substantive minister. We have also seen between advisors and the minister. So I hope Tinubu will do well to avoid that tough war that may likely ensue when the cabinet is eventually formed, because the advisors not being a cabinet, not being designated as ministers, is presumed that they are subordinate to the ministers, or that they are junior in terms of ranking to whoever will be the minister. Because definitely you are still going to have Minister of Finance. You are still going to have Minister of Power. Yeah. You are still going to have Minister of
Defense Minister.
Defense Minister. So this unhealthy rivalry of I'm the one in charge, you have to report to me, or, you know, these are special advisors to the president. And I just hope that he will give them all the attention. Right now, the president seems not to be very busy. Almost everybody that wants to see him could see him at the earliest request. We've seen him sign the student loan bill today, and the following day, the National Association of Nigerian Students got to meet with him, which means his schedule is not too tight now. We have seen former ministers who have randomly gone to meet him 2-3 times in a week. But by the time the cabinet is formed and attention is being juggled, I hope these advisors will definitely be able to have access to their principal, and that the unhealthy rivalry between them and the substantive minister or the cabinet minister will be at the minimal level, if at all it's going to happen.
Thank you very much, Jide. Now, Aliyu, just before the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, left office, has signed a bill into law reducing the amount of time a government needs to take before they name commissioners or ministers. The former president took 6 months before he named his cabinet. Are there any indications that President Tinubu will unveil members of his cabinet, name his cabinet anytime soon? And how do we avoid a situation? Because Jide raised a pertinent point, and unhealthy rivalry between advisors and ministers, battle of supremacy and all of that. How do we ensure that they all work in synergy to fulfill Mr. President's promises and also his policies?
All right. The truth of the matter is, in a short while, a lot of people will learn to know that in a list of leadership, in list of leaders we've had in the country, President Bola Ahmed stands out, and he's not to be compared to any of us. And I don't mean to be disrespectful by this. If there is rivalry in a team, the buck stops at the desk of the team leader, the president. When you build a team right and you bring homogeneity of purpose, there is clear understanding of everybody's deliverables, of everybody's job descriptions, your role. I mean, you are the gate man at NASA, you are the astronaut, you are the finance director. Everybody's role is to take people into space. But to do this, everybody has an assigned, the goal is to take people into space, but everybody has an assigned job description. When we have clear understanding of this, there's hardly ever going to be, a misunderstanding and road that will lead to rivalry. Everybody is important. Everybody is essential. And he identifies you and he makes you know, so you do not need to overstep your boundaries just to shine yourself. And he does not. He's so, you can't get far with him with eye service. He sees through you. He knows what he has asked you to do. He knows what he's getting. And that is why you see that most of these guys you are calling have been consistently with him, over this period. He has built the longest, and the largest set of team. There isn't going to be any such thing because everybody will understand the goal and everybody will understand the urgency that the current time calls for. And for appointment of the ministers, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not need to be teleguided or need to be, like he said, he will govern by the constitution of the country. If as that is part of the constitution now, he's sure he will ensure he abide by it. Most importantly, he knows the time we don't have as a nation to turn things around. And he knows how he needs to set up his team and get things moving as soon as possible. But he is not pausing on all the other assignments to do this. He is running them concurrently at the best timing possible. So I am in no doubt, about if there's going to be unity in the team, if there's going to be homogeneity, if there's going to be timely appointment or timely delivery of the promises he's made. Let me quickly say something about Mr. Wale Edun, that he's a co-founder of the IBTC and a director. He's a respected guru in that sector.
Okay.
And he has been consistent.
Definitely. And talking about consistency and, unity in the cabinet, that's what Nigerians are looking for the best of Tinubu's administration. And now quickly before we round things up on this conversation, Jide Ojo, you mentioned something about the president not being bound by his advisors. And I'm looking at the past administration, President Muhammadu Buhari, where there was this, in the past time, this talk about cabals running the country and the president being oblivious of situations going on in the country and allowing some set of people run the country rather than him taking charge of all of this. Tinubu hasn't said that. I think you mentioned that was Obasanjo that mentioned it. Do you feel that Tinubu or President Tinubu is conversant with the situations around him and this loyalty in his advisors? Are we going to see a situation like that where it's just trusted to these particular people to run the country?
Well, I want to give him benefit of that he's going to run his administration different from his predecessors. And if he's not limited by health, I believe he will have eyes for details. Like Aliyu said, there will be job description for each and every one of them. But you see, what has been lacking in previous administration is lack of oversight. The appointer, if I can call the president that, is supposed to superintend over his team. And situations like I cited the example of a minister not being able, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, not being able to see a substantive minister, which was the president, for 6 months. How do you communicate? How do you share thoughts and ideas about how to move the country forward? So I just hope that Asiwaju will be able to manage his FT and heavy schedule to ensure that he oversees and not outsource. Because one thing with Buhari that everybody has talked about is that when he assigns you, he just looks the other way. Whichever way you run, your portfolio is of no concern to him. And he was very reluctant to change people. I've said something on another media platform that one thing I respect Roman Abramovich, former owner of Chelsea, that it does not reinforce failure. If he hires you as a coach, he will give you all the resources to succeed. If you lose matches up 5 consecutive times, you are a goner. He sacks you, whether it's mid-season or towards the end of the season. He does not care. He's a man that does not reinforce failure. But in politics, there could be a lot of political consideration, who nominated, who not wanting to offend people and all of that. But I hope Asiwaju will have his feet to the ground, will have his eyes on his appointees, ensure that they deliver on their job description, and that anybody that does not want to comply with his vision, the Renew Hope agenda, is shown the door. There are over 200 million Nigerians, and whether you talk about Nigerians in diaspora or Nigerians residents in country, we have more than enough capable ones that can run this administration. Okay. But it should try to balance politics with technocracy. Quite a number of people lost elections that needed to be compensated. It should just not hand over government to them. It should look at people who are non-partisan, people who have, strong pedigree, who are technocrats, who can add value to his administration, and ensure the job description is well spelled out, and anyone that is not ready to comply is shown the door.
They say uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. A lot of expectations for President Bola Tinubu. Thank you so much, Dele Alake, for joining us on the conversation, and Aliyu Audu for also putting your thoughts on this conversation. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.